Ich möchte euch einen hochgradig unpolitischen Podcast vorstellen, nämlich den Podcast 6 Feet Under. Das ist der Podcast vom Undertaker. Und ihr seht vielleicht schon am Besucher, dass es sich hierbei um ein Gespräch mit Donald Trump handelt. Also der Undertaker, wir haben ja letztens gelernt von Experten, dass Wrestling sehr, sehr unpolitisch ist und die Realität zeigt, dass sich das auch so ein bisschen bewahrheitet. Wir hören mal ganz kurz rein.
How long are you married?
I have been married for 14 years.
Good.
Yes.
Is this your second marriage?
Who counts? Numbers. Numbers.
A second. All right, you can cut that part out. This sounds like it's going to get a little bit too.
I think I think you can relate. Like we both have kind of maybe outkicked our coverage.
Unpolitisch Amerika.
The last time I saw you was at WrestleMania 29 at MetLife.
Right.
You were. I have to kind of apologize. You were there. My family was there,
Right.
And they'd come to you and asked if you would move one row back so that my family could come watch my match.
Oh, yes.
And you were gracious enough.
But I did it.
You did. You were gracious
Wahnsinn.
enough to move back.
Ja, und seitdem wählt der Undertaker Donald Trump, weil Donald Trump etwas gemacht hat, das im Zusammenhang mit seiner politischen Karriere einfach alles andere aussticht. Er hat seinen fetten Arsch von seinem Platz hochgehoben und ist eine Reihe weiter, damit jemand anders da sitzen kann. Einfach bodenständig auch, selbstlos. Wie nennt man das in Amerika? Held, glaube ich. Held. Ein Heiliger.
The problem was, I was like,
Kamala Harris würde sowas niemals tun.
there's an iconic picture
Right.
of I'm actually laid out on a table and CM Punk's about to drop an elbow on me.
Right.
And I'm looking at this picture, and one of my dearest, closest friends was sitting with my family. His name's David. He works for Georgia Pacific.
Right.
And I'm looking at this picture, and I see him, and then I can see you trying to peek. He's got an enormous head.
Right.
And I can see you trying to peek around it.
Ja. Ja, super. Ja, das ist jetzt hier eigentlich, das ist jetzt, also weiß ich jetzt nicht. Ich weiß nicht, ob mir irgendwas bei rumkommt. Who's the greatest wrestler of all time, bla bla, who the greatest stars now, what keeps Donald Trump going. Das ist halt, ich meine Einschätzung dazu ist folgende. Ich bin dem Undertaker nicht böse. Wer so viel Piledriver, so viel Pedigrees, so viel Body Slams und so oft vom Hell in the Cell irgendwen runtergeworfen hat und selber runtergefallen ist, der muss irgendwann auch einfach die Konsequenzen ziehen. Ne? Dass der eine fragwürdige Entscheidung trifft, das ist für mich etwas, das in keiner Art und Weise das nicht überraschend ist. Wer die Karriere vom Undertaker miterlebt hat, weiß einfach, was der alles über sich ergehen lassen musste oder was er durchgemacht hat. Deswegen kann man auch mal so reinscheißen. Ne? Trotzdem sehr, sehr schade. Im Gegensatz zu einem anderen ehemaligen Wrestler, nämlich Dave Bautista. Der hat nämlich was anderes gemacht.
Fellas, we gotta talk. A lot of men seem to think that Donald Trump is some kind of tough guy. He's not. I mean, look at him. He wears more makeup than Dolly Parton. He whines like a baby. The guy's afraid of birds. Donald Trump had his daddy pay a doctor to say his Will feet hurt so he could dodge the draft. Look at that gut, like a garbage bag full of buttermilk. He sells imaginary baseball cards pretending to be a cowboy fireman. Guy's barely strong enough to hold an umbrella. I mean, look how he drinks water. Like a little pink chickadee. He's got jugs, big ones, like Dolly Parton. He cheats at golf, He creeps around beauty pageant dressing rooms. You know that little dance he does? He looks like he's jacking off a pair of giraffes. He's moody, he pouts, he throws tantrums.
No, get those lights off!
He acts like a 5-year-old behind the wheel of a truck. He bends over for Putin. He's cattier on social media than a middle school mean girl. The guy needs help walking downhill. Almost there, Grandma. So this November, let's stop kidding ourselves. Donald Trump is afraid of rain, of dogs, of windmills, Merle Streep, and being laughed at.
Isn't it past your jail time?
But mostly, he's terrified that real red-blooded American men will find out that he's a weak, tubby toddler.
Mommy, take me home. Mommy, I want to go home.
What's wrong, tough guy? Does someone grab you by the Boy, bitch.
Guys who can still see their own.
Vor allen Dingen, paid by guys who can still see their own dicks.
Thank you, Dave. You're an American son.
Holy shit. Weißt du? Das ist halt krass. Da hat Dave Bautista halt einfach gesagt, fick deine Mutter, ey. Hat er gesagt eigentlich. Das ist das. Hier ist der Link dazu für den Fall, dass ihr es noch nicht gesehen habt. Ey, ganz ehrlich, so langsam glaube ich, Wrestling ist wirklich unpolitisch. Na gut, man muss sagen, Bautista ist ja auch Schauspieler geworden, ne? Aber im Großen und Ganzen habe ich den Eindruck, dass Wrestling sehr wohl unpolitisch genannt sein kann. Oder genannt werden kann, ne? So, für den Fall. Nur für den Fall. Lass uns mal was Unpolitisches gucken, Chat. Wrestling, der Wrestler Mick Foley, der unter anderem auch Cactus Jack im WWE repräsentiert hat, oder Mankind, man kennt ihn vielleicht, oder den Dude, Dude Love, glaube ich, heißt er. Der hat ein kleines Video hochgeladen, das geht 4 Minuten, soll unpolitisch sein. So unpolitisch ist die WWE. Gucken wir mal, was Mick Foley zu sagen hat.
To talk about the election.
Yeah.
Hä? Warum redet er über die Wahl?
Yeah, I think it's really important to talk about the election. I think it's important for everyone to have a moment where enough's enough. I mean, for me, enough was enough 8 years ago. The Undertaker is correct in saying Donald Trump made politics fun again.
You've made politics fun again.
For about 3 weeks in 2016. But it's 8 years later, and there's absolutely nothing fun about this man. To me, there's nothing fun about a man who could be the next president of the United States talking about the enemy within, making it clear that this was not a mistake. This is his go-to line, the enemy within, the enemy within, the enemy within.
It's the enemy from within.
The enemy from within. I think the bigger problem is the enemy from within, not even the people that have come in.
Which he co-opted from Senator Joseph McCarthy, one of the worst people to ever grace our planet. What frustrates me the most is that so many good, hardworking American people cannot see through such an obvious con man.
Ist der Undertaker pro-Trump? Ja, der Undertaker ist leider pro-Trump. Aber ich kann dem Undertaker nicht böse sein, der hat in seinem Leben eine Menge DDTs und Piledriver bekommen. Dass der nicht die richtigen kognitiven Entscheidungen treffen kann, ist für mich vollkommen klar.
Who is only out for himself. The idea that the working man thinks this guy is behind them has obviously not looked into his past. I know people work hard. They don't always have time to go home and do their research. But instead of tuning into your favorite news station of choice, look up the data. See how many times Donald Trump has failed to pay his contractors and workers over the last 30 years. It's in the hundreds. He claims it's because they didn't do good work. This coming from a guy who claims he only hires the best people. I claim he's screwing over the working man. Kevin Nash today told me a story about going into the venue that used to be the Taj Mahal, mentioning Trump's name and seeing the bartender roll his eyes. And the bartender told a story about his father was an electrical contractor, worked hard his whole life to build up that business, And then when Trump did not pay him for the work he did in the Taj Mahal, and the man was unable to fight it because he didn't have the resources to.
Du musst dir mal vorstellen, wie viel schlechter der Undertaker kognitiv aufgestellt ist, wenn das hier Mick Foley, aka Mankind ist, der insgesamt mehrere Male von der Spitze von Hell in the Cell runtergestürzt ist. Multiple Male.
Fight it. Trump knows that the people, honest, hardworking contractors, don't have the resources to fight him in court. And he bankrupts them. Their dreams disappear. That's not standing up for the working man. Words are cheap, and he lies almost every time he opens his mouth. But do you know what he's not lying about? When he talks about coming after the enemy within. The enemy within. Who is that? It could be anyone. It could be me. An article came out today in NPR, October 22nd, 2024, with a study that showed Donald Trump had issued over 100 threats to people he perceived as his political rivals. He has threatened to impeach and prosecute Kamala Harris. He accused Barack Obama of treason. He said his chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Mark Milley, General Mark Milley, should be executed. He did nothing to stop what could have been the death of Mike Pence, his own vice president.
Crowd chants, hang Mike Pence. There's a hangman's noose outside.
And now he's gone so far as to say that anyone who criticizes the Supreme Court and other judges should be put in jail. So, Donald Trump, I'd like to talk directly to you. Are you going to put me in jail for criticizing your Supreme Court? Because I think Clarence Thomas is a disgrace to the Supreme Court. I think Samuel Alito is a horrible person who doesn't belong on the highest court in the land. I don't think Brett Kavanaugh's interview in front of the Senate would have landed him a job as a dishwasher, let alone serving in the Supreme Court for life. I mean, I'm so scared that I was thinking about calling you a douchebag in this interview. And then I thought, that's a pretty strong word. Trump might come after me. And I made the decision not to call you a douchebag, even though you are one.
This message has been paid for by Mick Foley.
Vote for Kamala Harris.
Vollkommen unpolitisch, dieses WWE. Mick Foley, so ein stabiler Mensch. So ein stabiler Mensch. Kann man unterstützen, kann man sagen, dass das ist wirklich sehr, sehr gut. Das ist sehr, sehr gut.